Thank you. Last night, Ukraine was again attacked with usage of middle-range rocket Oreshnik. The restatement of Minister of Foreign Affairs of Ukraine, the restatement of President of Ukraine Zelensky and other European leaders. Do you have some reaction on this? And do you consider it like attempt to increase the flow of refugees to EU? Thank you.
Anita joining me.
Thank you. On this, I will not speculate on the latter part of your question, but on the first part and the Russians' use of missiles, I would also like to refer you to the High Representative reaction that is on her account, where she clearly states once more a very known position that Putin does not want peace, and Russia's reply to diplomacy is more missiles and destruction. And this deadly pattern of recurring major Russian strikes will repeat itself until we help Ukraine break it. So Russia's reported use of an Oreshnik missile is a clear escalation against Ukraine, and again meant as a warning to Europe and to the US. So this is why we are continuing to fully support Ukraine throughout this process to ramp up its defense, and we're supporting Ukraine throughout this war of aggression and preparing also for the steps ahead, as just recently at the meeting of the Coalition of the Willing.
Thanks, Anita. Other questions relating to Ukraine? Do not see hands raised in the press room. Other questions for Anita on foreign affairs? I see one hand from Mose. Not sure if it's for Anita or for Anwar, but Mose, we come to you.
Yes, thanks again, Anita. I would like to follow up on the questions yesterday on Ukraine. On Greenland. And first, about the status of Greenland, I wonder if you think if it matters whether Greenland is considered not part of EU. It's not what is called overseas region, but one second, please. But overseas country, we had a special association agreement with the EU. That's one question. Another related question is, I remember that when High Representative Kallas was appointed, she thought that it would be possible to apply a kind of transactional approach to influence the Trump administration. So the question now is, what is more important for the EU? Is it that Greenland should continue to belong to Denmark, or whether to influence Trump and his administration to continue to support strongly Ukraine and provide strong security guarantees to Ukraine? Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll let Anita reply, but I don't agree that we need to prioritize our objective in these areas, Anita.
Thank you. So most these two things are completely there's no comparison in between these two things, or as an adaptation of Scott F. Fitzgerald's code would be, we can hold two thoughts at the same time, and these are not mutually exclusive. So one point is referring to Greenland, where we have made our position very clear. Greenland is part of the Kingdom of Denmark. It is also a key priority for the European Union, and for the past days we have reiterated the position that the territorial integrity and sovereignty are fundamental principles of international law, and these principles are essential not only for the EU but for the nations around the world. And the same views obviously applies to Ukraine. We have the EU and the US being continuously engaged in the peace efforts for a long and lasting peace, and also we have welcomed the U.S. Efforts in leading these talks with Russia. Earlier this week, we have had the meeting of the Coalition of the Willing in Paris with President von der Leyen, President Costa, and the High Representative. We have our work with our partners, with our allies in NATO, and the EU will continue to contribute to ensure that the security guarantees are there to support Ukraine throughout. So, to be clear, in a nutshell, we will be continuously defending the rules-based international order, and we will continue to stand by our member states, and we will continue also to support Ukraine as we've done so from day one.
Other questions for Anita? Is it for Anita? Go ahead.
Hi, Jacob from Euractiv. I was wondering if you have any additional comments on Iran and the protests and the latest developments there.
Question for Anwar, but I do not see other questions for Anita, so thanks a lot. I would ask Anwar to join me.
Thank you for the question. I don't know where you are. Over there. Hello. We have been vocal on the developments across the country through a spokesperson statement and together with the reactions that we had following the protests that we have seen unfolding in the country. I will here reiterate our position and develop further. We are closely monitoring the situation in Iran, including the latest development in the southwestern part of the country. We express our concern regarding the increasing number of deaths and injuries, and we reject any violence against peaceful demonstrators. The people of Iran are expressing their legitimate aspiration for a better life. Any violence against peaceful demonstrators is unacceptable. We urge the Iranian authorities to uphold the rights to freedom of expression and peaceful assembly and to restore access to the internet for all.
Thanks, Anwar. Other questions on Iran? Jorge.
Yes, hello. It's also on Iran. We saw a message from Reza Pahlavi, the eldest son of the latest Shah. He called directly on Europeans to break their silence and act more decisively in support of the people of Iran. He also called on them to use all technical, financial and diplomatic resources available to restore communication in the country, because we know that yesterday the internet was cut off. So what's your response directly to this appeal from Reza Pahlavi? And second, do you support a regime change through the protests that we now see in Iran? And if that's the case, who do you think should lead the country in a potential new chapter? Thank you.
Thank you, Jorge. No comment on comments. That's one. Then, in terms of regime change has not been part of our EU consolidated policy vis-à-vis Iran. Last point, in terms of the protests, I will here recall what I have just said, that we urge the Iranian authorities to uphold the rights to freedom of expression and peaceful assembly in terms of the Iranian people and to restore access to information and to the internet for all Iranians.
Other question on this? Go ahead.
Marta Pashek, Iran News. It's also on Iran. Does the EU recognize the People's Mojahedin Organization of Iran, also known as MEK, as a democratic opposition organization? Thank you.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch the full question. If you can please
Does
repeat.
the EU recognize the MEK, which is the People's Mojahedin Organization of Iran, sorry if I'm not correct pronouncing this correctly, as a democratic opposition group? Thank you.
Thank you very much. On this particular point, we'll have to revert back to you at a later stage. Thank you very much.
I do not see other hands raised on this topic. Other questions for Anwar on the files he covers? Not the case. Thank you. Other questions for us today on different topics? Yeah, let's start here.
Peter Haak, Politico. I had two questions for Thomas on X and Grok. Two short follow-up questions. So yesterday it became clear that some of the AI-generated sexualized images were already concealed by X. For example, the one from the Swedish Deputy Prime Minister Ebba Busch. Is this something that was initiated or ordered by the European Commission? And secondly, this morning X said that they would limit the image generation to paid subscribers. And I was wondering if that changes something about the assessment from the Commission on this.
Thanks, Peter. I will start with your second question. I mean, we, of course, have taken note of the recent changes announced by X for Grok. Indeed, limiting the image generation and editing to paying subscribers. This doesn't change our fundamental issue. Paid subscription or non-paid subscription, we don't want to see such images. It's as simple as that. On your first question, I mean, yes, what is being requested is to remove illegal content, to take action. It's not the Commission requesting it. So when it comes to specific removals, you know that we have the notice and action mechanism. So when content is illegal, it's for users to flag it to the platform, and then the platform has the obligation to remove content. What we are looking into, and this is very important to keep in mind, the Commission doesn't do content removal decisions. We never ask a platform to remove a specific content. What we're asking platforms to do is to make sure that their design, that their systems do not allow the generation of such illegal content.
Thanks, Thomas. Other questions for Thomas on this? We have quite a few. Let's continue with this central cluster in our press room.
Yes, thank you. One for Thomas as well, Mathieu Paulet from Politico. Context reported this morning that the Commission will soon designate WhatsApp as a very large online platform under the DSA. Can you please confirm that and walk us through the rationale, if that's the case? Thank you.
I'll start with the rationale. So I can confirm that WhatsApp has published user numbers above the DSA threshold in February of last year. We will all remember the discussion we had here in this press room around Telegram. How do we designate or not Telegram? The same system applies here to WhatsApp. So the objective for the Commission here is to check what is actually private messaging, which doesn't fall under the scope of the DSA, and what are open channels that act more as a social media platform. This falls under the scope of the DSA. So here we would indeed designate potentially WhatsApp for WhatsApp channels. And I can confirm that the Commission is actively looking into it, and I wouldn't exclude a future designation.
Other questions for Thomas? Yes, go ahead, and then we go online.
Bonjour, Thomas. Question for you about Grok. Just to follow up on, we know that the Commission's been in touch with ARCOM in France, but I was wondering if the Commission's contacts extend to the UK, because we know in the UK the authorities are also looking into the exact same question. If the Commission is working at all, and also what is the status of removing all these images? Is there a way to monitor this? Or is that done more on the national level?
Thank you. I'll start again with the last bit of the question. On the removal, we're not monitoring the removal of this. What we are monitoring, we don't want users in the EU to have the possibility to generate illegal content, to take non-consensual images of women and to create sexual images out of it, or of children. So we're looking really at the systems of the platforms. Our dialogue is with X for Grok on the output that is being generated and how this is even possible in the EU. So that's our focus. On the individual removals, indeed, I mean, we have seen also the action you are referring to, ARCOM, and rightly so, to France. Action was taken in France, rightly so, because this would be criminal investigations against individuals that have done and generated such output. So that's the logic approach indeed. So the national steps taken at national level are complementary to the work we're doing more on the systems of the platform at DSA level. And I forgot the first part of the question now.
if there is anything you can say about cooperation with other authorities, perhaps outside of the EU, UK, maybe even the United States.
So we have seen, of course, the statements coming from the UK. I'm not aware of any direct bilateral exchange with our UK counterparts, but I will check and get back to you. I can confirm that at EU level, however, we're of course in touch with other digital services coordinators at national level, also with Ireland and the Irish authorities where X is established.
Let's go online and then I revert to the press room. Charles? We need to try it again. You need to press on speak. Okay.
Hello.
Hi. Now it's
Hi,
working.
Charles Cohen from Euractiv. Thank you. I have a question on the safe loans because the Commission previously said that it would review the 19th reception country spending plans in December and then submit them to the Council this month for approval in February. So I would like to get an update on this, whether the plans have been reviewed by the Commission and if they're also changing. I remember the Commission said that the plans that were submitted had about 35% of the total budget dedicated to national procurement, while the program calls for, or like tries to spur joint procurement instead. So yeah, if you could give me some updates on this. Thank you.
Thanks, Charles. This is a question for Thomas, but on defense. Let me just see if we have anything else on digital. More questions on digital? Go ahead, and then we revert to defense. Thanks.
Euronews, Marta Pacheco. I would like to ask to know more details about the meeting that the Commissioner Roswell had, I think, yesterday with I'm sorry, I'm just checking here, with Mr. Donald Tang, the executive chairman of Shein. Could you share some details about what was talked and, some information about it? Thank you.
With Shein, if I'm not mistaken, this is what you said, no? With Shein. Would be more a question for Siobhan on Commissioner Roswell. What I can tell you from Eva, what I can tell you from this podium when it comes to Shein is that Shein, like all very large online platforms, is designated under the DSA, has to be of course compliant with our legislation. Now on the exact topic of the discussions, I think Eva can maybe revert to you a bit later, and not Siobhan.
Thanks. Let's go back to then Charles and the question on defense. Charles, would you mind summarizing it very briefly?
Yes. So it's just an update on the Commission's review of the 19 countries' plans on SAFE, whether it's been the review is over and the Commission has finished its review, and whether the plans have changed as well based on the review. Thank you.
Bonjour, Charles. Yes, so I can confirm that our defense colleagues have had a short Christmas break. They have intensively worked on this. The assessment of the SAFE plans is very well advanced. I think we should be possible to submit indeed an implementing decision shortly to the Council. So we're aiming for the coming weeks for sure. Then on the next steps, of course, the Council would then have also the possibility definitely to look at our assessment and to give its own assessment of the plans. Once everyone is on the same page and once we also have green light, the Commission would then make an initial disbursement of the amount that was requested so that member states can kick-start their projects. So yes, work is ongoing and we should be able to advance soon. Now on the share, because you were referring to joint procurement, of course we have an initial assessment that shows that 65% of the SAFE projects that have been submitted to us is common joint procurement, which is our privileged option, and we have always said that we will try to increase that figure higher up.
Thanks. Other questions for Thomas? Not the case. Thanks a lot. Other questions for us today on different topics? I see a few hands raised. Let's start with Jorge.
Yes, Ariana, it's on trade. We just heard that there is a majority in favor of the Mercosur agreement. Obviously, we know that you were very much looking forward to this news. Do you have any reaction, any message to celebrate this? And can you already confirm when President von der Leyen will travel to Paraguay for the official signature? Thank you.
Thanks for your question, Jorge. I'm sorry to disappoint you, but we need to be clear on what is happening procedurally at the moment. What is happening right now is that the Council is going through its procedures. That's not going to be complete until later this afternoon, I understand. And it's at that point, and only at that point, that the Commission will communicate. In relation to your second question, it flows from the first. So please bear with us.
Other questions for Olaf relating to Mercosur? Go ahead, Andy.
Yeah, Andy Bounds, Financial Times. Can you confirm that the Commission is planning to apply the agreement provisionally before the European Parliament gets to vote on it, as claimed by many French officials and MEPs? Thanks.
Thanks for your question, Andy. As I said, right now we're focused on the procedures happening at Council level, and we will deal with the next steps once those procedures are complete.
I do not see other hands raised relating to Mercosur. Other questions for Olaf on trade? It's on trade. Go ahead.
Thank you. Beatrice from German newspaper Handelsblatt. I wonder whether you could give us an update on the current negotiations going on between the Trade Commissioner and Minister Goyal about the Indian-EU trade agreement. Can we expect any breakthroughs?
Thanks for your question. As you indicated, the discussions are still ongoing. They're happening also today. So we aren't going to respond to any questions concerning the content of those discussions until they have concluded. All I can do for now is repeat that we, from the Commission side, are keen to complete the political negotiations with India with the view to getting this trade agreement over the line as soon as possible. But substance trumps speed, and therefore we have to make sure that all the details are in place.
Thanks, Olaf. Other questions? Beatrice, you have a follow-up.
Next to the Indian-EU trade agreement, there are about 7 other trade agreements on the floor. How important is it for the Commission to push ahead with these other trade agreements, considering the geopolitical shifts as we see them right now?
Thanks for your question. The answer is that it is very important for the European Commission. But it's not just important for the European Commission, it is important for the European Union that we build as broad and deep a range of trade agreements as possible. Why do I say that? Because trade agreements open up economic opportunities for our exporters. They allow us to diversify our list, our range of partners from whom we import important products. They allow us to reduce our dependencies for example, critical raw materials that we need for the green and digital transitions. So to answer your question, it's very important for our citizens, for our businesses, for our geopolitical standing that we get these trade agreements over the line as soon as possible.
And if I can add, the President herself has said on several occasions how important she considers to have this network of agreements with our partners around the world. It's really a priority for our Commission. Other questions on this specifically? Go ahead. In the back.
Thanks. Just a follow-up on Jorge's question. Gerardo from Politico. Since Arianna explained next week's agenda of the President, and it's quite busy from Wednesday on, there's this whole of Monday and Tuesday. So are you targeting these 2 days to fly to Paraguay and sign this deal? Thanks.
Thank you for your question, dear Gerardo. As I have said, and I repeat, today we are focused on today. Today, a procedure is happening at the European Council, and we're following that with great interest. And when that Council procedure is complete, we will communicate on it. For subsequent steps relating to the EU-Mercosur agreement, we will talk about them subsequently. But thank you for your interest.
Other questions on trade? Not the case. Thanks, Olaf. Other questions? Go ahead, Vincenzo.
Good morning, Vincenzo Genovese from Euronews. Is a question on migration, actually, specifically on this, about the solidarity pool on migration, which was set up at the end of last year. According to the official document, Hungary and Slovakia have made no pledges at all, neither relocation of asylum seekers from countries under migratory pressure, nor financial contribution, zero. Can you confirm that this is a breach of the EU law on migration? And if this is the case, which I think, how the Commission will react? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Vincenzo, for the question. As you rightly say, at the end of last year, on 19 December 2025 to be precise, the Council adopted a decision to establish the annual solidarity pool for 2026. This is part of the implementation of the Pact on Migration and Asylum, which will be fully applied from June this year. And this was an important step. It puts the solidarity mechanism under the Pact on track. Now, on your question as regards the contributions for Member States, the solidarity mechanism is a mandatory one. All Member States must contribute in one way or another, whilst, of course, retaining the choice of how they do so. To remind us all, the Pact considers the specific migratory situation of each Member State and provides the necessary flexibility to address the needs of Member States. Solidarity is flexible regarding the type of contribution, but all Member States have to contribute in one way or another.
You have a follow-up. Go ahead, Vincenzo.
Thank you. Yes. Okay, it's mandatory then. What happens if a country doesn't contribute nor in a way or in another, as is the case of Hungary and Slovakia, because they made zero pledges on relocation, zero pledges on financial contribution? Thanks.
Thank you very much. No. So now, this decision was taken before the Christmas break, just before, and we're now at the beginning of the year, so this is what I can say at this stage. But of course, the Commission is the guardian of the treaties, and it's our role to ensure that Member States comply with EU law. We continuously monitor this, and we of course have the tools available if needed to make sure this happens.
Other questions on migration for Marcus? Or other questions for Marcus on the files he covers? Not the case. Thanks a lot, Marcus. Other questions for us today? David from Remote. And then I'll come back to the press room.
Yes, thank you, Arianna. David Carretta, Radio Radicale. I would have a question on energy, because I've seen that the storage of gas is going down quite quickly because of the winter condition this year, in particular in Germany and in France. First question, are you worried that a gas crisis could come during the next few weeks or months? The storage for Germany, it's around 50% today. And the second question is on the fact that Germany never reached the 90% storage that is foreseen in the regulation, neither the 80%, which is foreseen with flexibility, neither the 75% storage that is the maximum if you give them the possibility to reduce in certain market condition. So I'm wondering if you are in contact with Germany on that, if you are active, if you are asking them why they didn't respect the regulation. What can you do on that? Thank you.
Thanks, David. Eva is replacing Anna Kaiser today. Let's see if she can already provide some elements or if she needs to check specifically on the figures you were mentioning and provide you an answer after.
Good afternoon. Thanks, David. As you know, I'm stepping up for Anna Kaisa, so I can say just in general that gas storage is playing its role as the most flexible supply source during cold and during winter, and it has been main supply source in the EU for the last 2 weeks. I don't have specific data about Germany. There is currently no concern for security of the gas supply for this winter, and there are adequate levels that were refilled over the summer. So obviously we are in touch with the member states. We are prepared to face and manage the potential of the security of supply, and the coordination is ensured.
Thanks, Eva. David, I give you again the floor. Just as I said at the beginning, it's figures you now mentioned. We will, of course, look into them, and Eva will check if there's anything she can add to complement her initial answer on general figures at European level. But David, you have the floor again, of course.
Thank you, Arianna. Yes, it's on the second part of my question, the fact that Germany didn't respect the regulation and the obligation to fill the storage at 90% or 80% with the flexibility that is foreseen after the amendment introduced last year. What are the consequences for member states that do not respect the regulation? Thank you.
David, I give the floor to Eva, but I think it's figures you're mentioning now. Of course, we will need then to see on our side whether we have information on these figures and whether we can provide you an answer to them. I don't think we will be in a position to comment now, but Eva, feel free to contradict me if you already know what we can say.
No, I will come to you bilaterally, David. For the moment, it's important that the security of supply this winter is okay, and there are no concerns about it.
Other questions for Eva, either as Anna Kaisa or herself? Not the case. Thank you. Other questions for us today? Go ahead.
Hello, it's for you, Ariana, I guess. Valeria Pashko, public broadcaster of Ukraine. So does the President von der Leyen have a plan to go to Washington next week, as there are a lot of reports that President Zelensky might go to Washington to sign the peace agreement, and he stated before that he could have, the European leaders could have joined him. So what do you think about it? Could the President join him if he goes to Washington next week? Thanks.
Thanks. I have just announced the agenda of the President for next week at the beginning of this Midday. That concerns the appointment that are currently confirmed. Of course, the President can always add to her agenda. This is valid for a number of reasons. Your colleagues were asking just before for possible traveling about Mercosur. Also in this case, we would have no specific announcement to make at this stage. We will need to see if and when the moment comes, whether it's possible or not. At this stage, I think that for what concerns Ukraine, all the efforts are on reaching a just and lasting peace agreement for Ukraine. The President, of course, continues to be in touch with President Zelensky and European leaders, as well as leaders of the Coalition of the Willing, to continue the efforts to reach such a peace agreement. As you know, there was a meeting of the Coalition of the Willing just earlier this week, so action in this sense is ongoing at all levels, including at the President's level. If there are breakthroughs, then we will take it from there, but right now we're focused on reaching such a peace agreement.